Vicki Hogarth, and welcome to Southwest Magazine. My guest today is someone who has helped turn the coldest stretch of the year into one of the warmest. Jamie Steele is the creative force behind the Winter Warmer Festival here in St. Andrews, a festival that blends live music, community gatherings, and that unmistakable coastal coziness this town is so well known for. What started as a small idea to bring people together in the off-season has grown into one of the region's most anticipated winter traditions. Jamie joins us now to talk about how it all began, how the festival has evolved, and what's in store for this year's celebration, taking place January 29th to February 1st. Thank you, Jamie, so much for coming in today and sitting down with us.
Well, thank you. What a great introduction. You must have thought about that for a while.
No, I really wanted to make sure I threw the dates out right away, because I think once we get talking, we might forget to put in the things like where to buy tickets and all those important details. But tell us a little bit as we get started, where the idea for this festival began. I know there's so many people that like to think of St. Andrews as this summer destination, and they forget about how beautiful it is this time of year.
Well, always lots of things to do in town. I'm always struck when people say there's nothing to do. And it seems so dead. Well, yeah, it's quieter for sure, but no, always things to do. And Winter Warmer, I think, sort of grew out of, there was a trend regionally. There were a number of winter festivals starting to pop up. Shivering Songs in Fredericton, for example, and their Frostival, which is a month-long sort of winter festival. There was another festival in Halifax called In Dead of Winter, which I don't think it's died, unfortunately, but it was a great event. I think there was something in Sackville too called the Stereophonic Festival, and so we sort of picked up on that, but it really, Ryan LeBlanc, who I worked with, who's a local sort of guitar phenom in my mind, he and I were sitting once and sort of reminiscing about some of the music events that we had been at, and just trying to think of something that that might start here in town. And it initially sort of came together. The idea was to have a house concert festival. When I had Salty Towers, we were into presenting house concerts, as they still do. And those were always sort of intimate, cozy events. And we thought, what better thing to do? Try to have multiple house concerts set up over a weekend that people could, go to. Maybe it would be a thing for the community. Maybe it would draw people from elsewhere. So actually, the initial Winter Warmer had 3 or 4 house concert sites, and then a couple of smaller venues, Sunbury Shores, and the Anglican Church Hall. I think we probably did something in an afternoon there. But it sort of ran into, it was a big ask for people, 2 people who might not have done that before, coordinating something like that, trying to make as many of those events available to as many people, and there were some bylaw issues. Apparently when you sell tickets to an event, wherever that event is being held is sort of deemed a commercial property. And anyway, so it sort of morphed then from that into a small venue concert. We wanted, or event, festival. We wanted it to still have that idea of coziness at that time of year. Bring people together, small venues, intimate, maybe offer some food, some libation as well, and build it around that idea. And so we did that. And initially the venues were smaller. The gallery at Sunbury Shores, Honeybeans, the Anglican Church Hall, the Red Herring, and then we began to do a larger event as part of the weekend. And we would go up to the hotel and use the casino, and we did a number of songwriter circles. And then post-COVID, people were really kind of wanting, to break out of that lull, or, brush the cobwebs off, really get out and do something. So a number of people just said, can you do a big, blast event, dance? So it morphed into having a larger event that was more of a party, a dance, something that people could go out to and not just sit and listen, but they could dance. So it morphed again into an event that had a large Friday night event, which was the sort of the party dance thing, which we held at the hotel. And by that time, Luke MacDonald and I had started the concert series at the Huntsman, and so we sort of rolled one of the concert series events into Winter Warmer. So we kept that as a Saturday night marquee event at the Huntsman Aquarium Theatre as well. So it's evolved a little bit over time. It's gotten a little bit bigger in that we have a couple of events now that are larger events, but we still have that core of downtown venues that are small and cozy and intimate.
And it still gives it it really does still have that maritime kitchen party vibe, no matter which venue you've gone to, because I've been to songwriter circles, but it still feels cozy and intimate. I've also been to some of your productions at the Huntsman, most recently with Bill Stevenson and Joel Plaskett, and it had the same feel because you're watching two artists mutually respect each other, play each other's songs, and sometimes improvise in the moment. Is that still part of the charm and the appeal of Winter Warmer? Yeah,
I think so. I mean, smaller event. I mean, the Huntsman is 200 seats. It's that's a good size for us here in St. Andrews. And but it's still a room that feels intimate. I mean, you're no more than 12, 15 rows back. The acoustics are really very good. There's not really a bad seat in the house. Some of the seats are a little wider than others. I thought they were all the same size, but no, they're different. And sometimes their heating system is not the best, so it can feel cozy because sometimes you're in jackets and sometimes you're not. But we try to regulate that as best we can. But no, I think that the idea that you're still close to the stage, close to the artist, that gives it that cozy feeling.
Yeah, and it feels like you're seeing something. It doesn't feel like just a set list of a concert that's traveling around. There's something special about it because it takes place in this special venue at this special festival that feels like you're experiencing something that isn't going to be traveled to 30 different locations and feel the same. It feels like very unique in what it's being offered during the festival.
Yeah, and I think too, having the core, most of the music takes place downtown between Sunbury Shores and Drew Haven. I mean, that's 3 blocks basically. So and we purposely set the schedule so that the shows are kind of offset and there's no real show that overlaps any other by any great degree. I mean, you might have to run to get to your next show if you're doing that, if you've chosen to take in 3 or 4 shows in a row. But I think that adds to it too. You're downtown. You're not you're within walking distance. It's across the street. It's the next block. Fun to take that little scurry down the street and in places like Sunbury Shores where we often have some hot food available as well. You can come in and have a bowl of chowder or chili or curry and most of the other venues too have honey beans. It's a cafe. They have treats and coffee. You can that adds to that sort of feeling of coziness too.
And as St. Andrews evolves, places like St. Andrews Brewing Co., Drew Haven have become venues too. These beautiful new additions to the town in recent years are also part of the festival.
Yeah, and great supporters. AJ at Drew Haven, when I approached him about doing some stuff upstairs at Drew Haven, he said, I want things happening here and at this time of year, bring it on. So they've been very supportive. The brewing company, of course, Dwayne Doucette, one of the owners of the company, created building, that space, is also a musician, and as are a few of the employees of that venue. So music happening there is sort of a no-brainer, and in fact, you know, people like Dwayne, you know, has appeared as an artist in past winter warmers. So you know, it's all wonderful, and the town is so you know, the businesses in town are so very, very supportive and have, you know, come on board, even if they're not open at that time of year. We get support from, you know, from Char and Chowder or the Chandler Room, the Ross Mount. I mean, this event sort of happens after they've sort of finished for the season and they're taking a bit of a break. But you know, many of them have still felt it important to support an event outside of what is their traditional busy time.
What I love about it too, Jamie, is that you've shown that St. Andrews, I mean, we know now we're busy right up until New Year's in the community, but Winter Warmer showcases a lot of what's still open even in the January, like the start of the year months that people assume most of St. Andrews is cold. So It really introduces an audience that might think of St. Andrews as being done for the next few months to what happens here post-Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah. No, and you know, it's silly to think that, you know, one event could be enough to keep, you know, to generate enough for all businesses to stay open. But, you know, maybe in time there'll be more and more things that pop up and happen, and it can extend people's open hours beyond what has been the traditional closing time.
The rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah, and the other thing that's happened too, talking about support, is you know, the town itself, especially the town's recreation department, the hiring of Merv and Henselpacker a number of years ago. Merv, you know, sort of approached me and said, "Hey, can we do a winter carnival component to Winter Warmer?" And I said, yeah, we actually had tried to do that a number of years ago, and Tressa Ingersoll had been a part of that. Tressa, who's, you know, so much a part of Indulge. And you know, I think with her living, you know, outside of the community, it's kind of difficult to organize something, and so with Mervyn on board as a full-time town employee and involved with, you know, recreation and events, you know, he's taken it upon himself to organize a number of non-music events, outdoor events, if the weather warrants it. I mean, he plans it, crossing our fingers that we're going to be able to do snow yoga or snow sculptures, ice sculptures. You know, maybe some tobogganing parties. I mean, it's a time where we're also encouraging people just to think about things that they can do outside with families, or just on their own. Come out to dinner, you know, on that weekend, just to celebrate that things are happening in town. Even if you're not participating, going to a show, just go out and have a good time. So that's been a wonderful addition. I know Merv's, you know, has got things that are going to go on in the Bayside Community Hall. There's, you know, a trivia night that happens at the Red Herring quite regularly, but they plan one in association with Winter Warmer. Stuff going on at the rink. Well, there's a hockey tournament going on that weekend. So, you know, it's not formally associated with Winter Warmer, but it's something else that's happening during that weekend. So it'll be a very, very busy time. You know, he lines up things like cribbage tournaments and you know, all kinds of things that are going on, you know, for everybody. So it's not just music now.
I know, and if the weather warrants, like you said, I remember one year there was a snow sculpture competition, and a family from Prince Edward Island, these incredible polar bears, I think it was, up by elephants,
yeah,
up by the blockhouse, that were just mesmerizing, and I think that was maybe one of the most photographed things one January.
Yeah, no, that was just 2 years ago, I think, and and they had seen a post, you know, online about Winter Warmer, and they said, oh, and the individual, the father, was an artist. And they came, I don't think they had ever been to St. Andrews before, but they saw that something was happening. So they came and they participated, and they happened to build these sculptures. And he made contacts with people at Sunbury Shores, and he, the next year, actually exhibited at the gallery. So
The magic of
Magic.
winter warmer. So when we look at the 2026, it's the first time I'm saying that date out loud. 2026. When we look at the 2026 lineup, January 29th to February 1st, what is on the schedule for this year?
Yeah, lots and lots of stuff. You know, it's in some ways hard to program, in some ways easy to program. I mean, there's so much talent out there. And the event has grown over the years, so we're trying to keep that level of engagement. Now 25% of our ticket buyers are coming from outside of Charlotte County, so there are people coming now who are spending the night, the weekend here, and I'll get into tickets and passes and things like that in a bit. But in terms of artists, musical artists coming. We have a couple of larger names or people who are going to draw a crowd so that we try to engage those people from outside of the region. So the festival headliner this year is multiple Juno Award nominee and winner Jen Grant, who lives in Nova Scotia, but has released 7 or 8 albums and in fact, is releasing a new album in 2026 and will be going and doing a national tour, I think, starting in March. So this is a chance to see her before that big CD release tour. She played Paddlefest a couple of years ago, and she'll be here this year solo, but likely having her husband, Daniel Edwell, playing alongside her. That's the Saturday night and is at the Huntsman Aquarium, part of the concert series that Luke McDonald and I do. And then on the Friday night, the big event at the hotel features the Wharf Rats, which are a Grateful Dead cover band. So, lots of grooves, lots of time to dance, and they've been together for a couple of years, but all of the musicians in that band are Grateful Dead lovers and want to continue to celebrate them through their music. So I know they've become quite popular regionally, so and already ticket sales are booming, so that's great. Others coming, Ray Legier, who is a Moncton-based bluegrass multi-instrumentalist, probably one of the best in the country. Ray has been here a couple of times on Minister's Island during the concert series there. He's bringing with him Alan Jeffries on guitar and Frank Duty on banjo, so part of a band that he calls Acoustic Horizon, and a vocalist, Betty Belmore, who is a bluegrass vocalist, used to sing and play with Gordon Stobie and the Mighty Oak String Band years ago. And Betty, coincidentally, is Bill Stevenson's wife and is a real powerhouse in terms of singers. But she has never sung here in St. Andrews. She's visited dozens of times, but other than with her sisters, who were known as the Hags, and they did a retreat at just a sisters retreat one year at Salty Towers. That's the only time she's sung in St. Andrews. But to be part of that grouping with Ray Legier, I think will be an incredible treat, and that's going to happen at Drew Haven on the Saturday.
Oh, nice.
We have a fellow by the name of Shane Pendergast, who was here at Paddlefest last year, a PEI singer-songwriter. Really starting to get a lot of attention recently, but he's got songwriting and singing in his blood, coming from a long line of PEI songwriters, folk artists. We have another duo called Buhala, coming from Moncton, Chris Mercereau and I'm going to forget his name. A recent immigrant to Canada from Algeria, I think. So some North African meet Acadian vibes there. Again, they were here at Paddlefest, played at Sunbury Shores, and were very well received. So they'll be back. Another new face to St. Andrews, Asef Ilyas, who is a guitar player. And he is another one of these percussive guitar players. I mentioned Ryan LeBlanc earlier, who I worked with, and we traveled the world showcasing Ryan's talents. Asaf is a little bit like Ryan in a way that he does a lot of percussive work on his guitar. And he was a member of a very well-known and well-traveled band back in the 90s called Mir, sort of rock concept band, which were really quite incredible. We are also having a songwriters circle on the Sunday, so we're adding a third sort of big event now, getting back to the songwriters. We had a songwriter circle last year, which was associated with Funk Island Labs, which were a group that came to do a songwriting residency camp for emerging artists, which they paired with Winter Warmer. But the leader of that, Chris Kirby, is also Matt Anderson's music director, and he is on tour with Matt Anderson over the Winter Warmer period. So we've continued their tradition of bringing back the Songwriter Circle event, and still waiting for a fourth to confirm, but I think I can confidently say that we have, as part of that Songwriter Circle, an emerging artist from St. John, Catherine Kennedy, who has played with a number of bands, as well as her own solo work, but most recently was in a band called Pretty Western, which again played at Paddlefest. She'll be one of the members of that Songwriter Circle. John McKeel from Sackville, New Brunswick, maybe a little under the radar, but has millions of hits, streaming hits online, has been Polaris Prize long lister, and he'll be accompanied, well, a third member of that Songwriting Circle team is Julie Doiron, who was known as a founding member of a rock band back in the early 90s, Eric's Trip, who were the first band signed to the Sub Pop label, which was a grunge label based in Seattle. And really, made headlines throughout Canada because of that. And Julie's, some of her early compositions have resurfaced and have gone viral. And she's another sort of Polaris Prize shortlisted artist. So, I mean, credentials beyond. So she'll be here. And another new thing we're doing, last year we started sort of a literary component, and we had a couple of authors in, Brent Mason and Chambers McLean, sort of highlighting works that they had recently completed. This year we're following that stream a little bit, and we have a fellow by the name of Andrew McLean. Andrew is known for authoring a series of books and continues to write called Backyard History. So, St. Andrews being the town that it is, architecturally and historically significant, we thought we'd introduce Andrew to St. Andrews. If he didn't know it already, he'll get an eyeful about it while he's sort of fating us with his stories about New Brunswick's little-known historical nuggets.
And then there's a brunch on the Saturday too, where you might be able to mingle with some of the artists, right?
Right. Thank you. Yeah, another new thing we're doing is hopefully this might become a tradition. We're going to do a Saturday brunch at the Anglican Church Hall for the community and for people who are, some of those artists who are here to participate. It'll run from sort of 10 o'clock to just after afternoon, and so that's offering tickets for that, hopefully, and if tickets at the door as well. But yeah, hopefully it'll bring people together again in that sort of cozy fashion of sharing a meal on a winter's day.
As we get into really the final minute of the show, I could talk to you forever, Jamie. We've known each other way too long. But how do tickets work? I know you could get passes that would let you into pretty much everything, but you could do it show by show.
Yep, of course. So we have a website, winterwarmerfestival.ca. And this year we've moved to, I'm trying a new model of passes. We have a weekend pass, which will Friday, Saturday, Sunday allow you access to all of the ticketed events. although with passes, we encourage people to get there beforehand because you have access to everything. If you leave it too late, we may fill up a venue. So I'm not holding seats in a 40-seat venue for pass holders if they're going to say, oh, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't go. Show that you're committed by showing up early so that we know that we don't have to, try to pull people in off the street. I'm also doing just a Saturday, Sunday pass, again, for all the ticketed venues. And then I'm offering a Big 3 pass. So if you just want to go to the big shows, the Friday night show with the Wharf Rats, the Jen Grant show, or the Songwriters Circle, you can get a pass for that, and guaranteed to get into those shows with that pass.
It is always so much fun, Winter Warmer. It's also always so much fun to have you join us in the studio. So I look forward to seeing you at Winter Warmer, but pretty soon I'm sure I'll see you on the streets of St. Andrews today as well, Jamie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in today and telling us all about this year's lineup.
Thanks for your time. It's always great.
My guest today has been Jamie Steele of Periwinkle Productions. The Winter Warmer Festival takes place in St. Andrews by the Sea, January 29th to February 1st. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.